Recently, in fact, last week, I was at Mackinac, part of a panel talking about post-high school opportunities. And a member of an organization called Launch Michigan described our system of supporting education in Michigan as MacGyvering a broken system. And I thought that was a really great adjective to describe how we approach funding for Michigan schools. I can't tell you how disheartened I was to see our budget, and unfortunately, I've only had a day to look over it, but I look forward to scrutinizing it over the next week. What I can say is this, is we say a lot as a body and as a state about how we support literacy. We've passed laws that require that students learn to read by third grade at grade level. We say that we support special education. We acknowledge that our special education is woefully underfunded, and there have been many pieces of research that demonstrate that. We say that we want work-ready students. We require, by law, a multi-tiered system of support for our students who do not read at grade level or perform in math at grade level, which requires often a 10-to-1 ratio or 3-to-1 ratio of that very important human resource that I spoke of earlier, that of a specialized teacher that is not special education. It's for that middle, it's for both special education and the middle ground student who's struggling. We say that we support early childhood education because we know that research tells us that if we invest in early childhood education, that those students start school ready to learn. We have less anxiety in school, we have better mental health in school, we have better prepared students, and we save money in the end because those are the prisons that we do not have to build when we support early childhood education. This isn't rocket science, it's just math. We have $26 million in this budget that goes towards CTE upgrades and equipment. I do not mean that that is not valuable and important, especially as we move forward and building our skills amongst our students, but right now we don't even have the teachers to teach those classes. We have $22 million in this budget for cyber schools. And I hear that, well, we have students already in those cyber schools, we don't want to disrupt them, yet we have no problem disrupting an entire community on the west side of the state when they do not meet their benchmarks, even though the state has been involved in that and supporting them for the last several years. We have $30 million in 31N money, which is to go toward mental health and support within the schools. And that's a lot of money, and that's a great goal. But in Wayne County, that equates to $1.50 per student. In Genesee County, that equates to between $4 and $5 per pupil. And when I've asked our ISDs and when I've asked our organizations, what are you going to do with that money? It's very unclear, and it's certainly unclear what the outcomes will be for that $30 million, and it is a poorly written law that misunderstands how the federal dollars and the state dollars interplay. That was a law that was come up at the very last minute, I believe in lame duck, but they said, hey, we got some extra money.
Representative, you may speak to the budget, and I'm providing you some room to do that.
I appreciate that.
But
so this adds up in this budget.
we're just not going to speak to pass laws, okay?
I got it.
Thank you. We can do that afterward.
Got it. This budget, just those three items in this budget, $26 million for CTE upgrades, $22 million for cyber schools, and $30 million for 31N equals $78 million. Add in the vendors, that's another million or two. We'll round up to $80 million in this budget that I really question what our outcomes will be for that investment. At the same time, we are not increasing investment in special education at risk, economically disadvantaged, early childhood. I would love to support some of the wonderful programs that are listed in this budget, such as Hope Network and the literacy program that's in my Clio school right now. But until we get this right and get it straight and increase our per pupil funding, as was recommended by the School Finance Research Collaborative, which means we are underfunded by $2,000 per pupil, and that does not include special education or transportation. Until we get that right, I cannot support a continued MacGyvering and winning and choosing winners or losers of our state public education system. I look forward, I know this is a process. I look forward to the next step in this process. I am hoping that we can return to some of the executive recommendations of a weighted budget. But let's be clear. Until we address the foundational issues of what it costs to pay for a quality education in the state of Michigan, we will continue to call ourselves MacGyver. I am not comfortable with that. Thank you for the opportunity.